All right, good morning. I'm here again for this podcast thing, and I'm doing it for the purpose of maybe a little accountability for myself. But then I just want to this time of being on camera for a few minutes is hopefully just going to be an overflow. I'm not going to force it, but an overflow of what God's doing in my heart and life, and then I'm at a place where I just got to share it. And so this morning, I was in my home office and I'm reading my Bible and going through my Bible reading plan that I'm usually going through. I read the Bible reading plan I'm in currently. It's reading through three or four books at one time. Don't be impressed. Sometimes I don't get around to all of those books. Sometimes I linger in one too long and need to move on. But right now it's John and Revelation, Job, and Zephaniah. And also the reading parts are bite sized, so it's not like, I mean, or they're just right. They're just right. So it's not too much. I'm not like reading two chapters from each, book every morning. They're kind of bite sized readings or good sized readings, so it's not too overwhelming. But the part I want to comment on this morning, that may be an encouragement to you because it was to me, was from the book of Job. I'm at the place where God, in His grace, listened to Job and his friends rattle on, as if they knew everything and had all the answers. And then God, in at least I think in chapter 38, he begins to speak back to them, and and it's and it's brilliant. It's what you would think. I mean, it's incredible. When God speaks, it is brilliant. But God speaking to Job, just kind of bringing them to a place of humility. One of the things he said in Job 38 that stood out to me this morning, it was from verse 41, and it said, this is God asking Job a series of questions that are all kind of similar, like who can number the clouds by wisdom, and can you hunt the prey for the lion, and just things that are that kind of puts Job in his place, and maybe um, brings back a measure of humility there. When we got to verse 41, he says, God says to Job, "Who provides for the raven its prey when its young ones cry to God for help and wander about for lack of food?" I guess what stood out to me after reading that is just the visual that it caused in my heart and mind. I'm thinking about these ravens. He says, "Who provides food for the ravens when their young cry out to God?" We've talked about sovereignty. Um, it's kind of a theme that my head is, it's kind of where I'm kind of camped out for some time. But the sovereignty of God, that He's in control of every detail of this world. Make no mistake about it. He is. Anything that is done is, if it's done, it comes through Him, 100%. If it's allowed, but uh, this right here kind of points to how detailed God is. I hate to even use the word involved in the world, like He's, I mean, that's not the best word for it, but because of my limited vocabulary, um, how detailed God is in His involvement is, He says, when they're young, when the ravens babies cry out to God, even the ravens, even their babies cry out to God, and He provides for them. I mean, I guess at times we may think, and if you apply this to your own life, you might think, as it relates to humans, maybe sometimes we might think, well, God doesn't care about this, God doesn't care about that. God, you know, God's forgotten about the needs I have in this area, or the needs I have in that area, or my financial needs, or the needs for food on my table, or the needs for, transportation, or the needs to have whatever it may be. He's not done it. He's not forgotten. He is taking care. He is in tune. He hears the very cries of the raven babies that need food, and he provides for them. Now, I mean, if he's that detailed and that concerned and that involved, down to the very, I mean, you could consider that down to the very minutia in this world, then he is certainly concerned about your needs. And he's certainly, if he hears the cries of the baby ravens, he hears your cries. He absolutely hears your cries. So when you cry, especially when you cry out from your heart, from a place of humility, and man, God tunes in and perks up, not as if he's been zoned out. Again, that's a product of my limited vocabulary. But man, he hears what you say. He hears your cries. He knows what you're going through. He knows your needs. There's not a need that you got that he's not concerned about. There's not a cry that you've made that he has not heard. There is not a thing that concerns you that does not at the same time concern him. And so today, let's just apply that to whatever's going on in your life. I mean, if he cares about the raven babies, man, he cares about you, and God is in control. I mean, if you want to kind of zoom out with that, maybe it's not related necessarily to you. Maybe you've just got other concerns, or you've allowed your mind to become concerned about world affairs and things that are just kind of even outside your sphere. But you're concerned about how they may affect you. I mean, my goodness, if God is concerned about the raven babies, zoom out. God's concerned about he's got it. He's is got his hand on the world at large as well. And so trust that, believe that, find comfort in that today. And where you may be, I guess, tempted to reserve your cries, maybe because you've thought nobody's listening. Don't reserve them. Don't reserve them. In fact, let them fly. Let your cries fly. Whatever it is that concerns you, whatever's on your heart today, let them fly. You've got a Father in heaven who cares about them, and he cares about even the greatest, the smallest details. I mean, this also kind of speaks to the tenderness of God. I mean, he's not some distant God who is out in Jupiter somewhere who's just really hands off. I mean, the fact that he cares about raven babies also speaks to the tenderness of God. And so, where you may be tempted to think, yeah, God, he may be concerned, or he may take care of my needs, but he doesn't really care about me. I mean, that's jacked up way of thinking as well. And maybe a product of maybe the way you feel like you failed or whatever. You think, well, he's kind of zoned out because I've messed up so much. Well, again, if we come to him with a broken heart over our sin, we come to him with a humility, and we cry out to him. He hears our prayers, and he hears, and he hears. He's not only one who hears, but he has a tenderness about him for his children. And so be encouraged today. I certainly am. I could probably sit here and continue to talk about the not the ramifications, but the implications of this verse for us all day long, but I won't. Why don't you consider this verse for yourself, and maybe God would speak to you in ways that I haven't even talked about this morning. So thank you for tuning in today. I hope to see you again soon. I'm gonna just kind of do this naturally, as I feel like God has kind of got me full to the overflow. I'm gonna show up here and try to lay some of it on you. All right. You guys have a great day. I'll see you soon.